Alright, I might as well start my audio here. I'm so overwhelmed. I've just got loads of stuff going on right here. Oh man. I still have to send out the stream in a few places, but this is pretty much our starting point. This is where we're going. This is what we're doing. So I pretty much have everything set up, I think. That's a big think. I don't think you can actually hear the audio coming from my PC though, which I don't know what's up with that. Like all the other streams, I wanted to start with some goofy Falcom music, get everybody in the mood, listening to some East music right now. But if you can't hear that, I don't know what to do about that. We'll have to figure things out as we go, because everything's new and we're back. So we're back to streaming after a while, and things have changed. Our methods have changed. A lot has changed since I last streamed. Man, did I last stream? Let me actually look this up. Did I last stream? Yeah, August 14th. That was before my final semester of college. So a lot has changed. Got a brand new haircut. Got new hair. Got new clothes. We're coming in this brand new. And essentially, this is the beginning of a new era for the stream. The streams are going to be very different than they once were. I'm not going to be doing like Let's Play type videos or streams, kind of like I used to do. It'll be much more freeform, much more variety. And, we're just going to have fun with it. We're going to play whatever games we want, whatever games that I'm already playing. So we're just going to hop into those and just have fun with it and just, do whatever. I don't want to be beholden to one game in particular that I'm only streaming on the show. So yeah, I just want to, not really put any wrenches into my schedule and kind of just do whatever I'm doing. However, it is the release date of Xenoblade Chronicles X, but I ordered the game from Nintendo's online store, so it's not coming. It's not coming today. It said it will be coming tomorrow. So maybe in a future stream, maybe in a couple days, you'll see me playing some Xenoblade X. But not yet, not right now. The release date did jump on me. It came to me very, very quickly. I wasn't really prepared for it. Originally, I thought that I could actually finish Xenogears before Xenoblade X came out, and that was it was a pipe dream for sure, but it was a complete failure on my part. I'm probably not even halfway through Xenogears, apparently. But I'm heavily enjoying it. I just, I'm going at my own pace, really, for Xenogears. Excuse me. Xenogears is one of the many games that I've started and haven't got around to finishing yet. One, because it's so long, and there is a few other factors to that, like how many things have gotten in the way. Like that's just stuff tends to happen sometimes. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So in this stream, we might actually play some Xenogears later today. We might actually do that because, as I said, I kind of just want to do what I'm already doing. But the main activity that I want to do with everyone right now is I want to actually do a tier list of every game that I finished last year. Okay, now that I say that, I don't want to get ahead of myself because I do want to do a little recording. Oh, come on. Well, recording save something. That, we can roll with that. The hard drive's plugged in. I don't know why it doesn't want me to change that as it's going, but anyways. Alright, I'm going to hit the record button so that we can have this for later. And we'll see how much of this is usable and what we can do with it for hopefully a potential YouTube video. So for the YouTube audience, what's ever... Oh, God. I'm a little rusty. For the youth... A little rusty. Bear with me. For the YouTube audience, what's up, everyone? Welcome to this newest edition of Protagonist. Today we'll be doing a funny little tier list. Now, this is all taken from excerpts from my live stream. I'm actually live right now. But this is from my live stream from my main channel, Protagonist, where I will hopefully be live streaming a lot more frequently in the coming future. So, if you like that, like, subscribe, check out main channel, check out side channel. Depending on where you are or what this is, you might be watching the main channel or you might be watching the side channel. So just, I guess, be aware of that. Alright, let's get right into it. So now I have to figure out my funny little screen transitions. So we're going to go to this. We're going to go to that area. And of course, all this is going to be slowing way down. My computer is going to be freaking out. My computer's going to be really freaking out from all this. Display capture, window capture. Let's see this. Alright, that should be... Well, that's not really... Okay. We're figuring it out. Maybe I should just add other window capture. Okay. That's good enough for our purposes. So we're going to transition. Alright, here we are. Here is the tier list. So I'm going to go through every single game that I played in 2024, and I'm going to rank them based on my criteria here. The rankings are peak, great, mid, forget or forgettable, and bad. Now, I don't know if we're actually going to be utilizing all of the tiers here, because I play a lot of peak, okay? I play almost exclusively peak. Now, anything that I would consider forgettable or bad, I typically don't finish. And this is every game that I finished last year. So, I don't know if anything will go in there. I really don't know. But okay, let's just get right into it. First game, The Bouncer. Now, The Bouncer is a very prolific game. Everybody knows The Bouncer. Of course, it was referenced in Kingdom Hearts 2 with Dog Street. Got that dude. What was his name? Hayner? There was Hayner, Pence, and Olette. Was that guy Hayner? I don't remember. But he wore a shirt that references The Bouncer. And The Bouncer is basically required reading for all Square Enix heads because, let me tell you, The Bouncer is pretty legendary. I don't know what else I could say about it. The Bouncer is... It's a really funny game. It's more funny to talk about or joke about than actually play. The actual gameplay is a pretty generic beat 'em up, but I guess it was pretty revolutionary for the time, wasn't it? This was one of the first games on the PS2. We had real-time combat for the first time. We had, well, not really for the first time, but one of the first times, and definitely the first time in this level of fidelity. But we had these crazy ragdoll physics. We had pressure-sensitive controls, which, okay, maybe not the best idea, but it definitely showed how innovative and futuristic the PS2 was. So, overall, The Bouncer gets a mid. It's a score of mid. It's actually a really good baseline for this whole list. But, I really had fun with it. I recorded me and my buddies playing through The Bouncer. It was on New Year's Eve. Going into New Year's Day. Of course, we had different time zones in the mix, but this was the last game I played in 2023 and the first game I played in 2024, and I beat it that night. It's a very short game. It'll only run you 5 hours max, 3 if you're not dying and you're just going through it. There's 3 campaigns you can do. There are differences, but I don't think you're really gonna want to push yourself through to see all those differences because it's not that interesting. The story comes with its twists and turns. The characters are certainly likable, but overall, it's nothing that should stand out to you if you're not a mega Square Enix head and like a mega PS2 head. Which, of course, I mean, I am both of those things. So, of course, I had to play it. And it was a fun experience. You know, I fondly look back on it. Will I play it again? Maybe. Maybe, I might. I'm not gonna lie, I might. I played it on stream that one time when VLR was so bad that it put me to sleep. Now, maybe I should have put VLR on here. Maybe we can still do that. Even though I didn't technically beat that game during the stream or during the year even, I completely washed my hands of it and I marked it as complete and just gave it a bad review on Backlogged because I don't want anything to do with it anymore because, in my opinion, it was such a bad game. Now, 1 second. I think I need to fix something. Let me just do that. Just for the sake of my computer here. Make sure it's not overusing too much stuff. Yakuza Kiwami 2. Now, this was a crazy game. So, I played the original Yakuza on PS2 back in 2018. Back in high school, I was sitting there in my basement playing bunk-ass, old-ass Yakuza 1 on PS2. I have a distinct memory of just sitting there. It was like midwinter. It was like a Sunday or something. I'm just sitting there, and I'm fighting, what's that guy's name? Shimano. I'm fighting Shimano, and it was just such an annoying boss that I had to just cheese him. I had to just do this one kick move that would stun lock him, and I just had to do that over and over again. And I just remember sitting there, I'm like 16, and I'm like, what am I doing with my time? Like, what the fuck am I doing here? Granted, I did beat the game. I finished it. I completed it. Hey, I'm probably one of the only people that can come here and tell you that I finished Yakuza 1 on the PS2. Most people played Kiwami at this point, because Kiwami's been out for almost a decade. I did not. I have not played Kiwami at all. I've played Zero, which is Kiwami basically takes the same engine and combat as Zero, but I've never played Kiwami at all. So just as well, I decided that I should play the PS2 version of the original Yakuza. There was a few issues that came with that. And I don't know what brought on these issues, but for some reason, when I actually tried to play it on my legit PS2, it wasn't working. I started it fine, it looked fine, it played fine. I got to a certain point, and it just stopped working. Like, the game would just not... The system would just not read the disc. And the disc, like, it was a new copy. It was a pristine disc. I really don't know what happened. Now, granted, my PS2's disk drive could be dying. I haven't turned on my PS2 in many, many months. But the last time I did, me and one of my buddies were playing Persona 3 on my old CRT. The family CRT that I still have at my dad's house. And it was working just fine. It really was. So I really don't know what happened with Yakuza 2 on PS2. But I decided to emulate the game. And I was playing it, you know, fairly consistently. But this was around a time when I had a really negative point of view that I just wanted to finish games. I wanted to finish it so quickly that I kind of like, I got frustrated at how long it was, even though it's not that long. And I stopped playing. I got distracted. I had other things. That might have been in 2022, I think, early in the year. So I was like 19, 20 around then. And I had a lot going on. I had a lot on my plate. It was a really tough time for me at school. And I was preparing to go abroad to Japan for my next semester. So that was a big deal. You know, lots to do. So Yakuza on PS2, you know, got away from me. So when I finally decided, okay, I'm going to play Yakuza again, I was like, okay, I got to pick up 2 again. So I looked at my PS2 emulator. I looked at everything. I still have the ISO for the game. Um, but, I didn't have my save file. Save file was gone. So I couldn't play it. Couldn't do anything with it. Couldn't play it. Well, I could start from the beginning, but I didn't want to. Yakuza Kiwami 2 was on sale on GOG for like $5, and I said, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna be that guy. Maybe I'm gonna be that guy, and I'm not gonna play the PS2 version. I'm just gonna play the shiny new Kiwami version. And man, I'm so glad I did, because Yakuza Kiwami 2 is such a banger. Like, okay, I haven't played Yakuza 6. That should be pretty obvious, because the last Yakuza game I finished was Yakuza 2. And this is going in relative order. I know I played Kiwami. I just explained it. So I had not much reference for what this game was going to feel like. Of course, I played Judgment and Lost Judgment. Love those games to death. But when I came into this game, it was so fluid. It was so fast. Like, it was so high fidelity. I was playing it on PC, so it ran better than ever. Every game on GOG is DRM free, which potentially can make games look and run better on your system, because there's not as much stuff clogging up. There's not as much what's the term, like bloatware in GOG games, because they just don't have those kinds of things that Steam games have. Now, not a knock against Steam games. I use Steam more than anything at this point. But actually playing this on GOG was a new experience, and one that I really, really enjoyed. Man, the story in this game is bonkers. Like, there's so many twists and turns. There is multiple plot twists where a character is like, haha, I've tricked you. I was actually Korean the whole time. that legitimately happens like 4 times. It's really funny. It's a very serious story. It's a power struggle between, the Japanese mob and the Korean mob. And it's also a struggle between the Osaka people and the Tokyo people, with the Tojo, and Ryuji Goda's trying to make trouble and all this. Like, Ryuji Goda is one of the coolest antagonists, probably one of the best. I don't know, is he one of the best in the Yakuza series? I would have to ask chat, but if anyone can tell me if he's one of the best in the Yakuza series, we'll have to figure that out. I know a lot of people like Mine a lot. I don't know Mine, not yet. Soon, hopefully soon. I am playing Yakuza 3 at the current moment, and we might even see some Yakuza 3 gameplay on the stream. But I don't really know Mine yet. So, for Yakuza 2, I'm going to put it in great. I don't know if it gets to the level of peak. I don't know if it does that. Especially, I guess it's got its ups and downs, but it's usually like a pretty fashion-forward game. You're moving, you're doing a bunch of side quests. It was such a great game to play at the time that I was playing it. Hey, yo, Nishquick's in the chat. Let's see. I don't have a chat overlay for this screen right here, but Nishquick says, what are you ranking? We are ranking every game that I played last year. So this is all of the Protagonist 2024 games, everything that I completed last year. And then we're going to be moving on. Probably to play some Xenogears, if I'm being honest. So yeah, 8 out of 10. I can't believe they tried to get me to believe that Kiryu was straight. Now, for one of the biggest, the most peak games on this list, we have Trails of Cold Steel 1. Now, this was a game absolutely, hit me like a fucking truck. I almost said that I was enjoying it the entire way through, but that's not exactly true. One sec, let's say, I never knew you played Kirby Superstar. Oh, man. I never knew you played Kirby Superstar. Kirby Superstar is one of my favorite games of all time. We're going to come back to that. Because I love that. I love the Super Nintendo version, and I played that um, pretty much since the collection came out on Wii. I played it tons, and this was the first time I played the Ultra version on DS. But Cold Steel, back when I made that video about Trails in the Sky, I wasn't sure about the Trails series. I was very apprehensive about it. But I decided, okay, I'm going to read up on lore and watch some videos. I'm going to play Cold Steel. If I like Cold Steel, then I'll play all the other games. I'll go back. I'll play the Crossbell games and Sky the Third and stuff like that. Yeah, I played Superstar Ultra on the DS last year for the first time ever. Actually, I played it on the Wii U. On the Wii U. You know how you can like emulate DS games on the Wii U? Loved it on the DS, of course. I mean, the DS was just the DS is a perfect console. And we'll probably get into that more. But I genuinely my mind has been changed. I've achieved a new opinion. The DS is a perfect console. Um, yeah, and then so I got a certain ways into Cold Steel, and it just started really speaking to me. I really loved the character writing. I thought it was much more robust and nuanced than a lot of stuff that came before. Granted, a lot of that stuff that came before was not only old, but it was translated by basically one person. So it had some issues. Um, but yeah, I mean, this game, it just spoke to me in a way the other games never did. I loved the character arcs. I loved like meeting Class 7, going on all the different expeditions, and just like having time to be with them, but also learning a lot about them and seeing huge moments play out in the narrative and in the world and how they react to these things. The ending of this game completely blew me away. Like it was just building and building and building. And there was like all this political tension. There was all these little things, these conspiracies. You meet these characters and they have these ulterior motives, but you're not quite sure. And just keeps building and building, and the tension is just so palpable. And then right when you think you're about to finish the game, you're like, the game is over, man. It's done. It's just fucking like it blasts you. Like one of the things about this game, I won't really go into too much spoilers because I feel like there's a lot of people that haven't really played these games. Um, is at the end of every chapter, you go to the old schoolhouse. You like complete this certain part of this dungeon. It's like this. It's like Tartarus. It's basically like Tartarus and Persona 3, but way smaller. And so you do a floor, like you keep going down. You do a floor like every chapter. And like there's a new boss, and then you complete it, and then you have this whole big final dungeon. It's like huge, and you fight what is basically the final boss. Like this thing is absolutely final boss material. And the game just keeps going. Now sometimes that can be annoying, which we'll talk about later, but it was pretty crazy. It was really cool. I really liked how they did it in this game. Now this game took me a really long time. I was playing it on the PS3. No speed up. If you play these games on Steam now, or even on PlayStation, or maybe even Switch, I don't know if you can get them on Switch. I think you can. I know you can get some of the newer games on Switch. I don't know about these. You'll have a speed up feature. I didn't have that, so the game took me over 100 hours, but it was really worth it. And the combat as well. It's a brand new combat system for the series. Trails has some of my favorite turn-based combat ever. I don't know how popular of an opinion that is, but I feel like something about the Trails series, just it's so kinetic, it's so customizable. It's one of the most fun turn-based systems that I've played. I really, really enjoy it. And they added a lot of stuff in these games that just made me like it a lot more. Granted, I jumped into the future because I last played Sky 2 from like 2005, and this game is from like 2013. So, I definitely jumped in like combat complexity, but it was a really great time. It had some really tough boss fights. This is apparently one of the hardest Trails games. And thank God for thank Idios for adaptive difficulty, because every time you reset, the boss gets a little bit easier. Your RNG is a little bit more in your favor. Sometimes you get blasted. But yeah, the lost my train of thought just a little bit. So glad this game has adaptive difficulty, because then I could actually finish it, because this game's hard. Now, of course, I gotta put it in peak. If you know how this game ends, you know that it just absolutely destroyed my brain. I thought it was incredible. Loved it. Absolutely. Now, since we have 2 Kirby DS games, I think we'll just put them together, actually. We'll rank them together. Like I said before, I think the DS is a perfect console. I really love the DS. I've been thinking about it a lot recently, because I was spending a lot of time with family, and I was reminiscing a lot. I was thinking about childhood. I think the DS was the best console for kids. Now, Game Boy Advanced owners, probably the same for you guys, and Game Boy and stuff like that. And what was the Sega one? The Game Gear? Was it actually called the Game Gear? I think that was the Sega one, like the beefy ass. I actually have one of those. I have it in my little like closet. I don't know where it came from, but I have it. I think those were the perfect consoles for kids. No web browser, no internet connectivity. You could do download play now, or link cables. Download play was great, because it really just like got you together with other people, like in your neighborhood or like your cousins or something that had DSs. And dude, me and my cousins, we would always not play, but we were always on Picto chat. We were always just doing whatever. I remember. One second. Nishquick asks, did you 100% the Great Cave Offensive? Of course I did. I've 100%ed it multiple times. I love the Great Cave Offensive. I've every time that I've done it, I might have 100%ed it solo once, but I know me and my buddy Chris have definitely 100%ed Great Cave Offensive multiple times together over the years. Like way back in the day with the Wii collection. Granted, I guess we were still on the Wii collection, but way back in the day when that came out, like 2011 era to last year, or maybe in the year before, whenever we were going through all the Kirby games, we 100%ed the Great Cave Offensive, of course. You just gotta. So, my point about the DS is that it has a social aspect to it, but it's very limited. I think that limitation was a very good thing for us, because you had to be in a certain proximity to do download play or Picto chat, and most of the time you just had your one game. Now, granted, you could get stuck with some licensed garbage. I know I certainly played a lot of licensed garbage in my day, but I mean, what better games for a kid to have than like New Super Mario Bros., Mario 64 DS, or either of these Kirby games right here. Like, these games, like, I think they're great games now. Like, I still play these games now. But for a kid, it's like they're so replayable, like they're so imaginative. They've got, in the case of the Mario games, they've got all those mini games, and I would play New Super Mario Bros. Mini games like nonstop. I remember like at restaurants, that's what I would do. If I was like bored at a restaurant, I would play like the Luigi card game. I have distinct memories of this. Nishquick says, also, dude, Mark's soup gave me nightmares as a kid. Oh man, Mark's is great. I love Mark's. Karl Marx, of course. Man. So yeah, I think that with all that said about the DS, I think we definitely had it better than like iPad kids today, because kids today just have, from what I can tell, they just have too much access to the internet. And I did have a lot of access to the internet at a young age, around like 9. Now, That was after I already had my DS and all this stuff. But, I can't say that was a good thing for me. I certainly... Oh, Mark Soul, of course. I don't think... Did I? No, I did complete this. Yeah, I remember. I completed it. So I only saw Mark Soul last year. I didn't know Mark Soul was a thing because I had only experienced the original version. So Mark Soul was a new thing to me. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I don't know. The statement is, internet, maybe keep it away from young children. Give them a DS. They're okay with PictoChat. They don't need anything more. DS, perfect console. Amazing lineup. And we got two amazing Kirby games right here. We got Squeak Squad and Superstar Ultra. For the sake of argument, I might have to put Squeak Squad in mid. I'm sorry, but I might have to do it. In fact, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Squeak Squad is very good. Squeak Squad's good. I'm not hating on Squeak Squad whatsoever. It's just a very normal Kirby game. Now, this is a criticism levied at many Kirby games. I've never taken it as a bad thing. A normal Kirby game is a good time, but it's not a high score. It's not getting you an 8. It's not getting you a 9 out of 10, but it'll give you a good time. So Squeak Squad, lore-wise, decent, interesting stuff, interesting bosses, just fun. I don't know. Nothing too crazy about this game. Squeak Squad, in lore order, because that's what we're doing around here. In lore order, Squeak Squad comes right after Nightmare in Dreamland and what's the Four Swords one? The Magic Mirror. Those games are tough. Those games are hard. Those games beat my ass. And this game was chill. This game was a chill time. I was not having existential crises while playing this game. I was not cursing our Lord and Savior Sakurai for making this. I don't even think he directed these or those, the GBA ones. I don't think he did that. I don't know. Very normal, fun Kirby game. Now, Kirby Superstar Ultra. Kirby Superstar is an amazing game. Kirby Superstar is one of my favorite games of all time. I played it since I was a kid. Since probably, let's see, HD Collection came out when I was 9. It wasn't HD, actually. The Wii Collection. The Wii wasn't HD. Came out when I was 9. I don't know if I played it then. I probably played it at my friend's house around then. I think. Because I remember me and Chris always playing these games. But, around 9, 10, 11, that's when I played it for the first time. That's when I was getting into Kirby, I guess. Or just around that time in general, because that must have been around when I got my hands on Brawl. Got my hands on Brawl a little late, because, of course, Brawl came out in 2007, and I was a tiny child. And it was T-rated, so it took a little convincing to actually get my hands on Brawl. I remember I played at my friend's house, played at my cousin's house, for years almost, before I actually got my own copy of Brawl. So, it was around that time. It was just when I was getting into the more core Nintendo games. And I'm going to give it a grade. I'm just putting it on there. But Superstar Ultra, excuse me, it's an improvement on the original in almost every way. Sure, these days playing co-op with Superstar Ultra can be a bit more difficult than it is to just sit down on the couch and play the Wii version with 2 Wiimotes, or even, is it on NSO? I have NSO now, but I'm not actually sure if it's on NSO. I think it is. If it is, then that's probably the easiest way to play it these days. And you definitely should. And you can even do, that just reminded me, you can play Magic Mirror for players online on NSO. Definitely do that. Now, we're not really talking about Magic Mirror here because I didn't complete it last year. That was in 2023. But if you're going to play Magic Mirror, get 4 people together to play it with you. It's a really good time. Multiplayer, it's a hard game, and it's a very confusing game. So you should definitely do it with 4 people. Me and Chris did it, just the 2 of us, and 2 like CPUs. Good time. If you have 4 people, get 4 people. And we did that before NSO. We did that through emulators, through like hooking up 2 emulators with like 2 computers. It was pretty nuts. Superstar Ultra adds a lot. The stuff that it adds is really worth it. It's just a great package. Redoes all the graphics. Probably one of the best Kirby games for lore. It's got really great lore. It's got great characters like Meta Knight. Just overall really fun time. Got Dynablade, Great Cave Offensive. You know, every stage, every game. You know, because it's the Kirby Fun Pack in other regions. So it's kind of like it's like those boxes of cereal you used to get that had little boxes of cereal. It's like a taste test. It's like that in video game form. But I mean, they're all great. So you know, I thoroughly love this game, and I can say that Ultra is a better version of the game that I already loved. Now, in the case of the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative, it is a game that I heavily enjoyed, but I don't think about it that often. I'm kind of stumped on this one because I really like it, and I believe that a lot of the hate that it receives is unwarranted, but sitting on this game, it's the sequel to The Somnium Files, of course, one of my favorite visual novels, a great game, and it's a pretty decent sequel. I would say it's a step below the original. When I first finished it, I would say maybe it was the same, but I think it's a step below, and I guess it's a little unfortunate, but hey, I mean, it's much better than Virtue's Last Reward, in my opinion, so Uchikoshi doesn't always make bad sequels, does he? I think I'm going to put it in forgettable. Not that I did forget that much about it, just that, you know, really comparing it to the first game, it's just not as special or as memorable of an experience. I really liked it. I liked seeing the characters again. I liked meeting new characters, solving the insane dream puzzles, and just like seeing this twisting, like, crime drama, almost horror-esque at times, story play out. It can be really intense stuff. But I think overall the ending was a little bit of a letdown. And certain things about it just didn't live up to the original. But overall, I think it was still a really good game. Putting it under the bouncer might be like kind of a crime. But it kind of just like, I don't know, it's like a 6 out of 10 to me. It's still really good, and it has really standout characters. Like, of course, Mizuki and Aiba, always amazing. Date is not in this game as much as the first one. He's not the protagonist, but, you know, he was really great. You know what? I'm just thinking about it. I'm thinking about it more. Ryuki and Tama are great. I gotta put it up. I know it's in mid. I can't put it in forgettable. It really does have something special. It's just a step down from the original, and that's fine. That's completely fine for it to be, because it does what it needs to do as a sequel. It tells a good story. It has different themes, stumbles in a lot of areas, but overall, I really like it, and I look back fondly on it, even though I don't think about it that often. So I gotta put it in mid. People are gonna get mad at me for putting things in mid. But mid doesn't mean bad. It doesn't mean bad. Now we got a huge one. Huge one. Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask was quite possibly, like, playing through this game, was quite possibly one of, like, most fun gaming experiences I've ever had. Like, for years, I was always scared of this game. You know, I played Ocarina of Time as a kid, played it on the Wii Virtual Console, played it on the 3DS, played it on the Wii U. I've played Ocarina of Time so many times, and I love that game. And I love every Zelda game that I've played. But Majora's Mask was just that game that eluded me for so many years. I got it on WiiWare. I remember like I must have let's see. No, I didn't finish. I don't think I properly finished um Ocarina of Time until I was like 18. I did it on the Wii U one. I think that was the first time I finished it when I did the limited items run for some reason. um So I hadn't even finished Ocarina of Time yet. But for some reason, I decided to get Majora's Mask on WiiWare. And I couldn't figure it out. It was very daunting. It was scary. It was creepy. I was shitting in my pants. I was probably still in elementary school at this point. And I just, I didn't get into it. And I was just kind of afraid of it. I was just kind of scared of it for years going forward. I didn't, I wanted to play it, but I was intimidated. So one day, my buddy Casey, friend of the show, you've seen him in chat many times, he showed me the ropes. He was like, "All right, I'm gonna demystify this game for you. I'm gonna show you that it's not that scary." And he just like played through the first bit of it for me. He showed me how to slow down time, how to reverse time, like just got me like through a basic crash course of the mechanics. And I was like, okay, I think I get it. It's not that stressful. The 3-day cycle, the time limit, it's not that bad. I think I got this. And then we decided to play the entire game together. After, of course, we played through Ocarina of Time co-op mod, which is so much fun. That thing is incredible. I love the Ocarina of Time co-op mod. At some point I'm going to talk about it again or play it again, and we'll make something out of that. Love the Ocarina of Time co-op mod. But so after that, we played Majora's Mask. He was guiding me through the game. It's his favorite Zelda. He knows a lot about it. We got all the masks, of course, because that's my take. Is you gotta get all the masks if you're playing Majora's Mask. That is 100% necessary. Get all the masks. And it was just so much fun. Like, it had the most depth, it had the most character, most atmosphere of any Zelda game. It was just like the writing was so punchy and like meaningful. It had this gravitas to it. I wasn't even expecting it. Like, I really, really liked the actual dialogue in this game. And it just has more nuance than you'd expect. Ocarina of Time has its nuance. It does. Let's not devalue Ocarina. But this game kind of goes above and beyond. And it's crazy that it was made in like under a year's time. It was just, art under adversity for real. Like, it's crazy what the developers achieved in that time. And right at the end of the 64's life, and it needed the extra RAM to even run on the 64. So yeah, it's just, man, I look back on it so fondly. I'm really excited to play it again, probably soon, because I am introducing Ocarina to my girlfriend for the first time. So we're playing through that. We're like a fourth through. We're at the Forest Temple. Just started the Forest Temple, one of my favorite temples. Yeah, so Majora's Mask, absolute classic, absolute peak, 100%. I give Majora's Mask a 100%, 10 out of 10. I love this game. Like, it jumped into my top 3 Zeldas immediately. I think I like it more than Ocarina. It might be like Wind Waker, Majora, Ocarina. That might be it. Now, I'm not going to talk about Twilight Princess here because I finished that this year. But I kind of thought that game would jump up as well, but it didn't as high as Majora. It blew me away. It really did. I'm going to take a quick break to get more water. And then we'll be right back, and we'll be talking about FF7 Rebirth. which is a huge game. All right, so I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm back. We're doing this again. Coming back. Where do I even begin on Rebirth? Rebirth was. Man, Rebirth. Like, what do I say? I'm kind of stunned. And I'm stunned at Rebirth itself. Because this is like an impossible game. This is like. You know, FF7 Remake itself is like one of my favorite games. Really loved it. I played through it like pretty quickly as far as like well, quickly yes, but I played through it basically nonstop. When I played it, that was basically all I was doing. Excuse me. When I played it, that was basically all I was doing for like 5 to 7 days, and that's about how long it took me. Um, and it was kind of the game that got me back into JRPGs. I kind of, I played some JRPGs. I like them, but I wasn't super into them like I am now until I played Remake. So Rebirth was highly anticipated for me. It was one of the main reasons that I got a PS5 when I did. Of course, I got it just in time to finish Remake on the PS5, so that was really cool. Um, and Rebirth just blew me away. The continued adaptation of FF7's Disc 1 just didn't disappoint at all. It was huge, it was vibrant, it was vast, it was alarming, it was surprising. Even though I've played the original FF7 before, I knew what was gonna happen. But every event in this game is like portrayed with this weight and gravitas, and like there's all these new little sections that flesh it out a little more and add a little bit more depth or a different perspective or some nuance or something new that maybe was always there but you didn't think about before, making the subtext into just text. Or maybe it was adding something completely new that, could change the way we think about this story. And I think that was something really special about Rebirth. Of course, they completely overhauled the gameplay style. It's still building on the same base as Remake, but they improved it so much more. I did recently finish a replay of Remake, and then like going back to Rebirth after that. It's like night and day. Rebirth is just so much faster. It's so much more fluid. It just feels more frenetic. And it's probably the most fun RPG I can think of, or one of. Now, of course, I think I prefer turn-based. Maybe, I don't know. That's the thing, is like I really like turn-based, but I don't think any games in like my top 5 are turn-based. Let me check. I don't know. I'm actually not so sure. Oh no, Persona 4 is in my top 5, so that's turn-based. That's definitely up there. Um, so I guess a part of me still is under the opinion that like kind of wanna see what it would feel like or what it would be like if it was turn-based. But putting that to one side, it's like the most fun RPG I've ever played. I got really into the materia system this time around. I was min-maxing my materia setups. I really loved all the different possibilities and just everything that you could do with that. Loved building my characters. I mostly played like Cloud, Aerith, and Yuffie. I think that was like my go-to. Yuffie was crazy and like she could basically break the game. Red 13 was pretty cool. Still liked Yuffie more, which was kind of like, it's like we could already play as Yuffie in the DLC, and then we had Red 13. Then we could finally play as Red 13 in Rebirth. And it was exciting, but I don't know. I guess it's not as exciting as Yuffie or eventually Vincent for the next one. But whatever. Really loved the side content in this game. Like, I think this game made great use of its open world. I think that like every single thing in the world had a purpose. You were never just exploring aimlessly. I kind of disagree with the idea that it's like a checklist, because I think it's, you are doing certain things in order for a certain outcome. It's like, I guess some people might want a more like discovery oriented experience, but I like games where I guess I'm on a set path, and I kind of just want to get to where I'm going in the best way possible. So, doing all these side quests like Queen's Blood and all the summons and stuff, like that was just so awesome to me. I really, really loved all the summon fights and eventually Gilgamesh's whole quest line, which is probably my favorite thing in the game. Like, how that quest line ends, like, where you're just fighting all of the summons, and then, oh man, and then you fight Gilgamesh, and it's awesome. And then just bringing Gilgamesh as a summon into like the final battles, like that was so much fun. We got a message in chat saying, I love a good linear game. Always love a good linear game, gotta say. Now Remake is more linear, but they opened up the world in a way that didn't feel like it was too much. I feel like a lot of open world games, they can be a little too overwhelming. Like, I find that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, like, they can be overwhelming. Let's see. They say, when I played Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I did every quest as soon as it opened up. What a phenomenal experience. Oh, man. So, we're not talking about Xenoblade just yet, or right here. But Xenoblade 3 is my favorite game of all time. And I made, like, just, yeah, the quests are just amazing. And I love how in that game, you kind of just discover them as you go. That's a cool thing that I think maybe Rebirth doesn't have. Because I love just like exploring, or maybe even just trying to get to the next story segment, and then you just run into a side quest, and it just diverts your attention, but you're still having like the same amount of fun. That was something that it's rare for a lot of games to do that, and Xenoblade 3 like was really good at that.
So Rebirth, of course, you already know it's going in peak. I absolutely loved it. I think I gave it a 9, but it's in my top 5, man. It's just like it just shot up there. It has to be my favorite Final Fantasy. Of course, there are older Final Fantasies that, you know, I suppose there's a chance it could be dethroned, but it's the newest Final Fantasy, and it's my favorite. It does everything I want, so it's going up there. Let's see. Chat member says, yeah, Breath of the Wild has the problem, like sacrificing story for the open world. Yeah, I think Breath of the Wild storytelling is like its main issue. I talked about that a lot in my recent second channel video on Protagonist, where I talk about how Tears of the Kingdom is kind of. My friend just sent me a Berserk Lego. That's pretty cool. um, how Tears of the Kingdom was kind of disappointing, but still a good game. Now, we're going to talk about FF14 for a while. Going into another Final Fantasy game, we have the FF14 Power Hour, where I finally finished A Realm Reborn. Because, if you don't know, FF14, it's an MMO. So the way the story progresses is not like other games. There's the base game, which is A Realm Reborn, which has a certain number of quests, and then there's the patch cycle. So Realm Reborn is known as 2.0 because the original 1.0 version was a shit show. And there's many good YouTube documentaries about that. So this is like 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, so on and so forth. So I finally did all the patches for Realm Reborn this year, and I started Heaven's Word. For Heaven's Word fans out there, I played about 1/4 of Heaven's Word, and I will get back to it, but I'm not quite there yet. So, it's not on this list. So, we're just going to talk about, I guess, these two patches together, because I'm going to put them both in mid. I think they're pretty good. I liked them. I think FF14, it's no secret that it has a rough start, and it only gets better the more you play it. But I appreciated how slow-paced it was, because it got me to really learn everything and like understand the world and the story and like catch on to everything that was going on over a long period of time. So I wasn't just being thrown in there with, all this dense lore and all these nouns and characters. I pretty much started getting really into the plot around the end of the base game 2.0, and then again when Moonbrita showed up and her whole story arc. That was like two of the first times that I could really say that this game really gripped me. Other than that, I was kind of just going through the motions, and I definitely enjoyed the game. I'm one of the few people that kind of just enjoys FF14 for what it is. I like the combat. I like just being in that world, just exploring and stuff. But these are the patches where the storytelling steps up. This is where you get like the beginnings of a lot of things that'll go to much greater heights in the future. This is where you meet Emmerich. This is where you fight Shiva, which is an awesome battle. There's like this moment where it's like everyone's fighting her at once, all the players, and then like time stops. Like she casts diamond dust and time stops, and you have this like operatic music beforehand, and just all the music cuts out, and then she drops on one person. She like breaks the ice, and then once the ice breaks, the theme changes to like a rock arrangement of the song. And when that happened, I was just blown away. I was like, this is fucking rad. It's so cool. So overall, they go in mid because it's just building up. It's building up and building up. It's not the greatest game in the world. It's not the greatest story in the world, but it's really building up to something special. And while we're on this topic, we're just going to get right to it. It's building up to Before the Fall. Before the Fall is the final patch for Realm Reborn, and it's awesome. It's incredible. Game of Thrones, you eat your heart out. Like, this shit is awesome. This is where you really know every character. You're in the conflict. Like, you really get it now, and it has great moments. This is where like there's even more voice acting. There's more going on, and the climax of this story is just nuts. Like it really takes it above a notch. There's a moment where it's like, okay, you might want to set aside some time for this because you're about to enter a really long cutscene, and that cutscene is phenomenal. It's just amazing. It's just like, it's cinema. I have no notes. I have almost no notes, and I don't want to spoil it. I really can't spoil it. And it brings you perfectly into Heaven's Word, and like the way that story progresses is awesome. Chat member says, I don't know much about FF14, but it does sound really cool. Just not an MMO guy. The visual storytelling and combat look really cool. I just don't have that sort of time, lol. Yeah, I think that FF14 is a really hard game to recommend. Like, if you should even recommend it at all, some people would say that that's kind of morally questionable because it's an MMO. But as like, I think it's fine to leave it because MMOs are really not for everyone. But it is just like kind of, it calls to me in a way. I don't know. It tells its story in such a deep way. I don't know. I really like large scale epic fantasy stories, and 14 is like so great. So I don't know. There's other ways to experience it. Of course, there's like the play frame story mode let's play. That's probably a pretty good way to experience the story. And I guess in terms of like the longevity conversation, I guess it would be cool to see like a offline version of this game sort of thing. That'd be pretty cool. I don't know. It's neither here nor there. We were talking about a very different game next. This is a game that I wouldn't be surprised that not many people have heard of. This is a visual novel that you might have to keep safe search on when you're looking it up on Google. But the next one here is Dramatical Murder. This is a visual novel by a company known as Nitro Churro. They make BL, Boys Love, Yaoi, Homosexual. Dramatical Murder is a really fun story. It's got a kind of a take on the snobs versus slobs archetype. You are kind of reminds me of FF7 in a little bit. You're living in this city right next to or a bit under this like huge massive utopia, and it's a little grimy, it's a little gritty, but not so much. Like, it kind of looks kind of normal. People look like they're doing all right. You're not exactly in the Sector 7 slums. People are doing all right. It's like they're normal people, and then like the 1% on the other side. And you're like, all right. I'm struggling to remember. I was like, was there like a mystery to solve? The main character, Alba, he gets like a message or something. It tells him some cryptic stuff, and he has a run-in with some gangs, and they fight the gangs. Then he gets invited to the, I guess you could say, oh boy, you could say that. He's got some scuffles with stuff. It's a cool story. I think it is brought down by the fact that it's a bit focused on the romance, because this game has like different storylines for every character. So depending on your decisions at the beginning of the game, Alba will be accompanied with one of the many co-leads, and then they'll have like a romantic subplot, which will likely involve some smut material happening, being shown, being described, and it can get pretty crazy. There's one character particularly called Mink that I just don't like at all. I don't like him one bit. The things he does to Alva are completely heinous and should not be allowed. It's got a lot of funny quotes. I took many screenshots while playing this game. It's got some pretty heartfelt stuff. I pointed out Mink as like the worst character because he is. He's terrible. He's awful. He's like Knuckles if he was evil, unambiguously evil. By the way, every character in this game is basically analogous to a certain Sonic character, like Alba's Sonic, Kujaku's Shadow, Clear's Silver, Noise's Tails, Mink is Knuckles. What more can I say? It's Sonic, ladies and gentlemen. It's always been Sonic. One sec. So, there is another thing in this game. I won't spoil it because it is at the very end of the game, and the final arc, the final story, is really good. There's some weird stuff in this game. This game's got some weirdo stuff in it. And I'm not going to talk about it. But it's going in great. It was a great time. Sonic Yowie. What can I say? The world works in mysterious ways. It's what the people want. So, I would say a little less Sonic and a little less Yowie, but the next game we're talking about is Persona 4. So it's like equal. Okay, absolute cinema. First off, Persona 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. It's always been one of my favorite games of all time. I'm putting it up there in peak right away because you already know. I have been singing this game's praises for over a decade now. I played it on the PS2, played it on the Vita. This time I played it on PC. So, I do have some history with this, other than playing it way back in the day for the first time. And beating it twice, I think. Yeah, twice. Somehow I am just not surprised that is what the people want. Yeah. At this point, how can you be too surprised about it? Oh yeah, no. Persona 4 is Sonic Yowie, Sega, and closeted gay people. Yeah, it's the same vibe. Same vibe. So this time that I beat Persona 4 was actually a continuation of my famously abandoned New Game Plus run. So what I did with this is I had my PS Vita save file that I had completed, and I used voodoo magic. Don't do this at home. I used voodoo magic to transfer my PlayStation Vita save file to the Steam version of the game so I could continue off and start New Game Plus. So I did that. I did that many years ago. And then it got away from me. So I let it sit. And it was always like, it was a big meme between me and my friends. I was like, yeah, my famously abandoned Persona 4 playthrough. So I finally came back to it. And I did it all. I did it all. I did all the party links. I did Marie. I did like the Marie dungeon. I did the secret true ending. There's certain social links that I missed out on. Wasn't able to finish Adachi. There's many other links that I just didn't complete. And I didn't do any of the Margaret stuff because, frankly, or really the Fox quests. I tried. Frankly, that stuff is pretty annoying. Might do it one day. Didn't do it this time. But this was the first time that I actually went through all of Marie's stuff and saw the true ending, which all kind of came together in a final play session, which wasn't planned to be that long. One day I was like, all right, I'm like right at the end of Persona 4. So I was hanging out with Casey and I was like, all right, hop on. We're going to finish Persona 4 real quick. It's going to take like an hour, then we'll go about our day. It took 10 hours. We did not stop. We weren't like, oh, this is getting kind of long. Maybe we'll do some other time. We were like, no, finishing this game. I'm finishing this game today. And I just sat there for 10 hours straight and just played it from the beginning of the Marie dungeon to the very end of the true ending. It's peak. What can I say? It's peak. 10 hours. This game has like 5 different final bosses. This game has more final bosses than it has regular bosses. Like, this game has so many endings. This game has more endings than Return of the King. Famously, with all the endings. Let's say, chat member says, this and Xenoblade 1 are scary games to try to 100% for me because I keep thinking about the miserable quests / links. Yeah, Xenoblade 1 is like, I don't even know how you 100% that game. That game has so many side quests, and they're like time sensitive. Like, I do not want to 100% that game. But yeah, so I really liked Marie's stuff. Marie gets a lot of criticism, and I think a lot of it's undeserved. I think Marie fits in well with the rest of the cast. I think she's definitely the odd one out, but I think that's the point because, you know, she's her. I don't really want to spoil it. You probably know, but I don't really want to spoil it. But, you know, I thought that whole, like, quest line and how, missable, not miserable. Yeah, a lot of missable stuff. Like, you can miss them. Yeah, completely, you can just... It's not fun. You just be like, oh, the run's done. Well, I guess you can, like, rotate saves and stuff, but that's no fun. No one wants to do that. Let's see. Also, the achievement for, like, a month spent in-game is evil. A month? Like, to leave the game on? Is that a thing? There's like a Steam achievement for like leaving the game on. Yeah, and then I really like the final story segment, Izunami stuff. That stuff really hit home for me. I really liked the final boss. The true final boss. The true actual final boss. Here we go again, for real, this time for sure, baby. And this was also the first time that I saw the golden true ending, which is exclusive to the golden version. And it's like a special cutscene at the end of the game, like a post credits, where you just get to see like it's like 5 years later, and you get to see how everyone is kind of going about their lives and how everyone's grown up a little. And it's just like, it's such a heartwarming scene. Like, to see everyone that we've been with on this whole journey. And especially for me, because I completed this game originally many, many years ago. And I've grown up considerably since then. So seeing everyone grown up, it was like, damn, They still got it. We're still on this journey together. It was really nice. So yeah, it was a great experience. I did start playing the dancing story mode, Persona 4 Dancing All Night story mode. After this, didn't finish that, so it's not on the list, but it was pretty fun. Possibly the best written Persona spin-off. I don't know. It seems to me like that was the one that they put a lot of effort into the writing. Ultimax had pretty good writing, don't get me wrong, but I enjoyed the stuff that was in the dancing game. Chat member says a certain amount of in-game days for Xenoblade 1, 100%. It's absurd. Oh, huh. For Xenoblade, in-game days, like just the day and night cycle. That's really strange. Yeah, that's just, oh man, that's like one of the most evil achievements in like the Kingdom Hearts collection is like reach level 99 in Chain of Memories. And if you've played Chain of Memories, you know that you're nowhere near 99 by the end of the game, and there's not many grinding opportunities in that game. So I've heard that one's pretty tough. All right. Speaking of endings, another game that just would not end. Trails of Cold Steel 2. Now, I loved this game. I really did. But after this whole journey, you get to the end and you're like, damn, that's the end? Like, I finished it for real? Like, damn, they're gonna leave me off on that? And then the game just keeps going for like 10 hours. Like, I'm getting ahead of myself. I really am. But the game ends and you get like a pseudo credit sequence. It looks like a credit sequence, but there's no credits. Just like a visual thing. And then you have like a side story. And I'm like, okay. Because, well, before this, game, I thought the game was over. It literally says finale end. You've got to the end of the finale. Okay. Do a side story. You get to see Lloyd and Risha. First time voiced in English. Really cool stuff. Seeing them again after the Crossbell games. Of course, didn't play the Crossbell games yet, but I will. So really good, like, extra chapter. A little bit annoying that, the game was over and they hit me with this, but it's like a DLC. It's fine. After that, you get like a whole other chapter. You go back to school, and you have to play this whole other chapter, and then the game ends. I don't know. It's not as annoying when you say it. It's like, okay, prepare for it. Sure, whatever. I was just like, I had played this game so much, and I thought I was at the end. And it just wouldn't end. Now, granted, this was a really good game, and those segments that happen after the finale, they're good. They're good story content. There is it's a bit much. We'll say it's a bit much. There's a particular boss fight where you have to fight against like the principal, and he kind of rips ass. Like he's kind of like really strong, but I had Fee on my team, and she was like a dodge tank extraordinaire. So even though all of my party members had died, she just couldn't be hit. She couldn't be hit. She was just a complete dodge tank, and we just beat him with war of attrition, I guess. All right, chat member says it's almost like a burnout thing, right? Too much of a good thing. Yeah, I'd say the game burned me out by the end. And not to mention, just a long game. Like, not as long as the first game. The first game took me over 100 hours. This game took me like 75 hours all told. But you know, thought it was done, thought it was over. Now, granted, going before that section, this story starts right where the last one left off. Time skips a little bit, just a little bit, to get your bearings, and it's immediately like, it's like feet on the ground, like running. You're just like, you're meeting up with all the members of Class 7 again. You get to see what they've done in a little time skip and uh, reunite everyone. Like, that's really cool. You get to meet new characters that, well, you get to learn more about characters that maybe you met before but didn't know much about, like Toval. You get to have tons of new party members. Like, the party is just cycling out. You know, there's tons of guest characters, and they're really cool, and they all come with their own arts and special abilities and S-crafts. And it's a really flashy game. I think the combat system was like really leveled up. All of your levels carry over and stuff, so it feels like you haven't missed a beat. Like, you're still progressing. Power scaling is done really well. Like, whenever you have like an older character, like Sarah or I forgot the maid. I forgot her name. But whenever you have like an older character in your party, they're just like mowing down enemies and stuff. It's got great story moments throughout. Like, so many cool arcs. Like, Eustace has a really cool arc. Everything with Crow is just amazing. Like, I really love where Reen's story goes. You get to learn more about Fee's past. You get to learn a lot about Emma's past, and of course, Emma was like my favorite character. So, you know, I went down the romance route with her. So I got to see a lot of new and interesting scenes with Emma. Funny thing, I played this on the PS3 as well. There is a glitch in the PS3 version where there's a flashback to something that happened in the first game. And in the first game, the character is different depending on who you basically romance throughout the game. And there's a glitch that doesn't show, it makes it so it doesn't show the right scene. So it flashes back and it shows Elisa. And I'm not on the Elisa hate squad. I know many people that are. I'm really not. But Elisa is not that girl. Elisa's not that girl. She thinks she's that girl, but she's not that girl. So I put my hand, I'm like, wait a minute, time out. This is not canon. But otherwise, you know, otherwise it was all good. Peak game, 100%. I think I gave it a 9, or maybe an 8. I think I gave this one an 8, and I dropped down my rating of the first game to an 8 as well. But I think thinking back on it, they might go up to a 9. Maybe, I don't know. I have to think on it a little more. Kingdom Hearts. So, I actually completed Kingdom Hearts for the first time last year. Now, that is just because I had never fully played it myself back then. When I was first getting into Kingdom Hearts, even back then as a kid, I was like, I don't really want to play the first game. I think I'll just watch it. So I did. I read the manga, I watched the cutscenes on YouTube, and then I think I did the same for Chain of Memories, because then I jumped right into Kingdom Hearts 2 on the PS2. A lot of gas. What's new? I mean, I just ate pasta with olive vodka sauce, and I can feel it, you know? So eventually I was like, okay, I gotta play it myself. I love Kingdom Hearts 2, love Kingdom Hearts 3. Haven't actually completed that many of the games. Because, I watch them, watch the playthroughs, I watch cutscenes. Kind of just played the main games. And, I jumped into the other ones. I played Dream Drop on DS. I played the 2.8, Fragmentary Passage when it came out on PS4. Never really played Birth by Sleep. Never played Coded at all. Did play a little bit of 358. That was an alright game. But, you know, I was like, alright, I want to go back. I want to play. That sounds good. The pasta should grab lunch too. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I got rigatoni with olivacca sauce and like a chicken cutlet on top of it. It's pretty good, but you know, it's just it's a lot. It's a lot to handle, a lot to deal with. So Kingdom Hearts started it in like late 2023. Was really into it. Was really digging it. Just like as I kept going with it, I was like, man, these Disney worlds kind of suck. And like the controls can be frustrating and the RPG mechanics can be frustrating and it's weirdly hard. Like, this game is hard. I never expected this game to be so hard. I was like, kids played this back in 2002. I was fucking born. And I'm like, were people just built different back then? Did I just not get this like gamer gene? Because I was born after, well, on the same year that this game came out. I was born before the game came out, but you know. So I was like, oh man, maybe I just can't do it. So I actually quit playing this game. I quit. I stopped playing it. And like, I thought I wouldn't come back to it. And then one day I was just like, no, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. There's gotta be a way. No, I know I'm better. I can do this. I'm that guy. So I got back into it. I changed my build around. I grinded just a little bit. I made use of certain items. You know, I took the time. I just took little steps. I did some grinding opportunities. And then it was easy after that. I just gave it the time of day. I fixed my build a little bit. I think my main misstep with my playthrough is I wanted to go for a magic build. I was like, you know, let's go for something a little new to me. I haven't done a magic build yet, you know. Sure, yeah. Kingdom Hearts 1 magic build? Why not? I wouldn't recommend that. I would definitely recommend going for like a defense build. Because game's tough. And you're going to want all the health you can get. My health bar was not that large. You know, the health bar gets really big. Not that big. I wasn't that guy. But I did beat the game. I did get through it. I beat Maleficent's dragon form, which was the boss that stumped me. First time through. And the rest was easy peasy. The rest was history, honestly. And it was really fun. Like, you have the fight with Riku. Like, that fight's really cool. It's just such a classic duel. Like, just like no party members, just boys with you know, all you have is your magic and your steel, you know? It's a really sick boss battle. And then you have like the whole final dungeon segment, just like a big gauntlet. I was actually very sick when I was getting to the end of this game, so there is a part where you have to fight one of these big demons from Fantasia, and you have to fly around. I dropped my pen. You have to fly around, and I just had a head cold. I was like, I can't play this. I need to lay down, man. I can't do it right now. So I came back. I finally did it. That boss was actually pretty hard. I came back, beat the game, Ansem battle. Ansem was kind of easy peasy. At this point, I was so in it. I knew the mechanics. I knew everything I had to do. I was so with it. So Ansem was a chump. He was nothing. I will say, the second phase of the Ansem battle is the best one. It's the coolest. It's the most fun. I was parrying. I was blocking. I finally learned the block timing in this game, because the block timing is different for every single Kingdom Hearts game, and it really annoyed me. So I finally got it. And then you get to the final boss section, which is quite possibly the most insane thing that Tetsuya Nomura has ever designed, like drawn. It's crazy. It's like a fucking ship made of flesh, and Ansem's like coming out of it. It's gross, honestly. It's grotesque, and it's like the most busy thing I've ever seen. It's just like, it's a crazy design. I don't know if it's a great design. It's certainly out there, and it's certainly unexpected for like the final battle of this Final Fantasy Cross Disney game. But all told, really fun. I went back to the Coliseum a little bit. Didn't do all the bosses, you know. I don't think I beat Leon and well, Squall and Cloud when you fight them 2v1. I don't think I beat that. But I did beat like the individual stuff and all the cups and stuff. Didn't beat Sephiroth. I think you need to grind a lot to do that. I got to this point. Well, not really. I got to the point where you could attempt Sephiroth. So I looked under the curtain. I looked under the veil, and I just got like one shot, like completely. Got completely one shot, like right off the bat, right off the jump. Yeah, man. So, Kingdom Hearts goes in great. It was a really great experience. It's a nostalgic game that I finally completed all these years later. So yeah. Next is Unicorn Overlord, which I have a lot to say about, but man, am I tired out. So much talking. Unicorn Overlord is one of the most unique RPGs I've played. It's a strategy RPG harkening back to older games like Ogre Battle on the Super Nintendo and the 64. It is a high fantasy fairy tale-esque story told in almost a stage play format. It's got very classic character archetypes, very classic for the strategy genre and the fantasy genre in general. It's got elves, it's got beastmen, it's got like, it's a story of uprising against an empire. It's a really cool game. It's very focused on your setups and your strategic character building. It's very focused on team comps. Every unit is like split into a unit of like 5 characters. I think it's like a really, really cool game. Love Vanillaware. I make sure to pick up a new Vanillaware game whenever they make one. I'm a huge 13 Sentinels fan. I've played the other ones. I haven't really finished many of them. Really great developer. Deserves your time. Deserves your money. They go bankrupt a lot. They almost go bankrupt. A lot. So it's, you know, I think they're a great developer for the industry. I think they make great games. This game is like really stand out. It's special. I really like it. I'm gonna put it in great. Maybe one day I'll come back to it. Maybe I'll talk about it more. But this is the tier list. This is pretty much what we got going on here. This was every game that I completed last year. This is about 17 games, I think. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I don't know. But pretty much that's where I'm going to leave off because my voice is sore. I think I need to lay down. Streaming stuff is pretty taxing, surprisingly. So the more you do it, the easier it gets. My connection might be having issues. I don't know what's going on. But basically, I don't know if my connection has gone off or whatever. If you can still hear this, thank you so much for coming out. Whether you watched it live or whether you watched it on the VOD or whether you're watching the YouTube video that this hopefully gets made to on the second channel, thank you so much. Great to have you. Check out some of my other videos. Check out my second channel video about Tears of the Kingdom that just came out last week. Stay tuned for my upcoming protagonist video, which I don't know when it will be out, but I have some script right here. I got some of the script. It's not all the script, but it's some of the script. Xenoblade